Okay, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for making the time today, despite this late schedule. Much appreciated. Super excited to be there in person in front of you on a real stage. I'm Paul Lasser. I look after applied AI solutions in AWS Partner Organization, and we'll talk about what it means exactly. And super thrilled today to be joined by Vikram, our GM for AI and language services in the product organization. So thanks, Vikram, for accepting our invitation today. So what we will talk about today is accelerating innovation with AI and ML, but more specifically, how you, I guess, in the room today, we mostly have partners, technology partners, ISV, SaaS or not, and consulting partners, and how you have a critical role to play to facilitate AI ML adoptions with our customers. Before going there and sharing some of the experience we had this past year with solutions with you, we'll talk a little bit about what it means, AI ML at Amazon as a whole, and how we make our experience as a company using AI ML, how we make it available to customers with AWS. We'll then quickly touch on some of the barriers to adoption with AI ML with many of our customers, and how we think together we can overcome them. Sounds good? So, and as much as we can, we'll leave enough time at the end to have an exchange and to make it more of a conversation. To start with, I would argue that Amazon, at its core, is a machine learning company. Jeff Bezos had this vision from the very beginning that machine learning was a key differentiator for e-commerce. And we saw that on Amazon.com with personalized recommendations on the websites, optimization of the supply chain, right reorder points, optimization of delivery, forecasting demand. Later on, with innovations like Alexa, drones with Amazon Air, or more recently, Amazon Go, the cashierless experience, machine learning was at the center of this innovation. And you might not know that, but if you're a product manager at Amazon, AWS, in any department, if you have an idea, you want to create a new product, a new feature, you have kind of a checklist when you write what you want to do. And how you plan to use machine learning is a mandatory requirement. So machine learning has been mainstream at Amazon for over 2 decades. And to some extent, you could argue that Amazon was a pioneer at this time. The good news is that today, the fact that AI ML is going to transform most business is pretty obvious to most business leaders. I like these stats showing that the market is going to grow well over $100 billion in over 2 years. Maybe more importantly, that according to Gartner, we will move in the next 2 years from time of experimentation to operationalizing, if it's a word, machine learning for 75% of the enterprises. And lastly, the fact that most leaders, like 57% of leaders, believe that AI ML is going to transform their business. So we don't really have to convince customers anymore. The train has left the station. It's no secret. We are in a time of implementation of the technology. And so we're going to now tell you more about how we think about making this technology available to our customer at AWS.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so let's start with a few customer anecdotes and how they're using machine learning. So we have Intuit, who used our forecasting service to build a model that would forecast how many customer agents they would need at specific points in time. So for example, during tax season, they would need a higher number of agents to be able to service all the calls that are coming in. Then we have companies like Level 5 who are building self-driving solutions for Lyft And they are using SageMaker in order to do this, and they were able to reduce their training time from days to just a couple of hours. In healthcare, we have Cerner, who's using a variety of our AI services, including Amazon Transcribe, to improve the operations for their customers. They've even built a model that can predict congestive heart failure about 15 months before clinical manifestation. And in sports, we're working with the NFL to build next-gen stats, where we've taken both the old and new data to come up with very innovative stats that are useful to both the players as well as the viewers. And we have more than 20 next-gen stats that get shown on the television while the game is playing. So despite all the energy that we're seeing, all the use cases that customers are using it for, we still think these are early days, and there's so much more for us to innovate and build using machine learning. Machine learning is no longer on the periphery, that some research scientists are working on it. It's become core to a lot of enterprises. Today, every developer that wants to build machine learning models can go ahead and do it because of the tools that are available to them. So we're seeing adoption across various verticals, whether that's retail or manufacturing or healthcare or financial services, and across a wide variety of use cases, whether that's intelligent document processing or contact center intelligence, and so on. So how is AWS helping these customers? So we're investing in building tools across all 3 layers of the stack. So we start at the bottom layer, which is targeted more at the expert user or the data scientist, where we support all frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, MXNet, so that you have the option of using the right framework for the right use case, unlike other providers who only provide one framework. In addition, we also have various instances for you to train as well as deploy your models for inference. At the middle layer, we have Amazon SageMaker, which takes away the heavy lifting from building models so that you can focus on building, training, and deploying your models. And at the top layer, we've got the AI services, where you can just use machine learning in your application without even building any models. All you need is an innovative idea, and you can put these AI services together in order to build really cool applications for your customers. And in this space, we're innovating a lot. We've launched recently services like Lookout for Equipment, which is targeted at predictive maintenance use cases, where you can bring the data, build a model, and then build a predictive maintenance solution for your customers. We have Kendra Intelligent Search, wherein you can aggregate all the different content sources within your organization and build a search for the whole enterprise. And I'll talk through these use cases in a few slides. Over to Paul.
Thank you, Vikram. So that being said, we, meaning you and AWS, have an opportunity to accelerate AI/ML adoption. The reality is that many proof of concept today are not making it to production, because it's just hard, and it's very different to have a successful model running on a local machine than having an enterprise-grade machine learning system that is in production, that keeps performing over time and is resilient. And that's why, even more than in many other technology domains at AWS, there is a great opportunity for partners who make it easy for customers, whether that's through some type of software application, an ad hoc consulting offering. That's really where the value is, in my opinion, here. That's one. Number two, what I hear from partners I work with is that they need to have an AI/ML story, independently of the vertical where you are evolving, the technology domain you're focusing on. If you want to be into RFPs, be credible in sales pitches, you need to have some type of AI/ML story. I like this data from IDC showing that about 2/3 of the surveyed customers indicate that they either require or prefer a cloud application with AI. That's quite interesting. And so that shows to me that having AI/ML into your product and solution is becoming a strategic imperative. So when we take that into account, what we try to do at AWS is to put in place a win-win-win type of game plan where customers have access to easier way to consume AI/ML, turnkey solutions, ready-made AI, but you get the idea. Have our partners come across as innovators with AI/ML and build a durable business on top of this technology. If customers are happy, partners create a sound business, AWS will do well along the way. So how do we put that in music? One of the things we've experimented in the past year, 18 months, that we internally called applied AI solutions, consists in identifying the top AI/ML use cases, stack rank them by order of demand in our installed customer base, and for each of these use cases, go and collaborate with a critical mass of partners that are relevant in that space. We provide the core technology. We help our partners integrate, stitch together our services, and have them add their own differentiation on top of it. And then we go to market together. We co-market, we co-sell the resulting solutions. So what do we mean by top AI/ML use cases? So that's our list. Keeps evolving with time, so that might be different a year or two from now. But so far, this is where we see the maximum demand. Starting on the left with improving customer experience, with personalization, mostly in retail, contact center intelligence, we're going to cover in a little bit more details in a minute, media intelligence to help organizations that generate, stream, archive media assets, optimizing business processes with enterprise search, intelligent document processing, automating fraud detection, or analyze business metrics. And on the far right, what I would call operational excellence in machine learning with both ML modernization and next generation DevOps, which we call ML Ops. How do we know they are the top use cases? And by the way, we're super happy to share that with partners because we want to be aligned with how we serve customers. But we use Salesforce, we use anecdotes from our customers, and for solutions that have a good fit with partners, we use an internal tool called the ML Use Case Finder. You might not have heard about it. That's fine. It's something that's been developed about a year ago. And the reason why I mentioned that here is not only that it helps us understanding the trends for partner solutions, but that's also a great way for our fields to discover partner solutions. ML is a business outcome type of business. And so if I'm a seller in Germany and want to help a customer with insurance claim processing, I can look through this tool, previous example of partners who's delivered a similar solution. So just FYI, if you have some solution in production, let's make sure your partner manager knows about it and use this tool. So I'm closing this parenthesis, and now let's deep dive in some of the successful solutions we've developed in the past year.
Thank you, Paul. All right, let's talk about intelligent search. So what we heard from our customers is the data in their organization, it comes in various different formats, right? So you've got Word documents, got text documents, PowerPoints, Excel sheets, and it's spread across a wide variety of content management systems. It could be file systems, it could be SharePoint, it could be a SaaS solution like a Salesforce or ServiceNow, and so on. And since you guys may already know this, 80% of the data that's being generated is unstructured. So to be able to find information in this vast amount of data that is in so many formats spread across so many systems is a huge challenge for customers. And so we built Kenra to help them with intelligent search. So with Kenra, what they're able to do is connect to various different content sources with connectors. And this is where you as partners can also help us, because we've got around 14 connectors. And a lot of our customers need to connect to a lot more different systems. So you can come in and help these customers by building those connectors to those various systems. And once that data comes in to Kenra, we index all of that and then use machine learning models to help customers find the exact information that they're looking for. So we use what we call as a semantic search or ML-powered search within Kenra, which is very different from the traditional keyword-type search. So for example, in a keyword search system, when you look for certain keywords, all it's doing is just matching all the documents which have those words. Whereas with Kenra, we take that entire query, whether that's keyword or a natural language question, in its entirety, understand what the intent is of the user, and return the exact answer. So Kenra has this ability called reading comprehension, wherein you could index millions of documents, and when you ask a certain question, like where is the IT help desk, it can go through all those documents and find you the exact answer, saying it's on the second floor. It doesn't just give you a list of documents that you then have to click through to find your answer. It puts the right answer right at the top so that you don't have to do any more work. So that's the core technology that we've built. And when customers want to implement Kenra for their search needs across various different use cases, they are looking for partners that can put Kenra and various other different services together to build a complete solution. So some of the use cases that we're seeing are accelerating research and development. So if you have customers that are, let's say, like a 3M, or in the healthcare space, right, or a pharmaceutical company that you're working with, they all have research and development teams that are building new research and want to be able to search through previous research, previous patents to find relevant information, or SOPs for how to run their experiments. And Kenra is really useful to these R&D teams. So you can work with these customers to build solutions for that use case. The second one is compliance. So especially in the financial services industry, where you have a lot of these rules and regulations, and employees need to be able to look up the most relevant SOP for a particular use case and follow that exactly. Otherwise, there are huge fines if you don't follow the right process. So with Kenra, you can build a solution which can give them the exact answer that they're looking for. In the contact center, as we were talking about earlier, agents need to find the information that they're looking for to quickly help customers. So Kenra can be used for agent assist as well. Plus, on your website, pretty much every organization out there has a website that their customers come and look for information about their offerings or about their policies and so on. So Kenra can be used to power website search for your customers. So the customers that you're working with, talk to them about what technologies they're using for their website search and whether they're happy with it. And Kenra could be a great solution for these customers. And then, of course, increasing employee productivity. So for large enterprises with employees that are looking for HR information or finance information or IT help desk information, you can index all that data and provide one place where all your employees can go find the information they're looking for so that they don't waste time trying to find whatever they're looking for. So that's intelligent search. And you can integrate with other services like Textract. If you have scanned documents that you want to index, you could first run it through Textract, extract the text, and put that into Kendra. Or if you want to extract entities before you index that data, you could use Comprehend in order to do that. Or if you want to classify the documents, give them a particular tag before you index it, you could use Comprehend. Or if you want to translate from many other languages, you can use Translate. So you can build a lot of very cool use cases by combining Kendra with our other AI services. Let's talk about contact center intelligence. So nearly 80% of American consumers point to speed and knowledgeable help as one of the reasons for deciding if they've had a positive experience with an organization. But only 49% of consumers say that companies provide a good customer experience today. So there's a huge gap between what customers want and what they're getting. So in order to help these enterprises, we have end-to-end solutions for the contact center. So starting with the conversational experience. So whether that's on your website, where customers are looking for information, they can talk to a chatbot, or when they call into your contact center through an IVR, you can build a conversational experience for your customers using Amazon Lex, so that they don't have to wait in line. They can quickly get the information they need and then move on. So your call deflection rates go really high when you have a good conversational experience for your customers, so that your agents don't have to spend as much time on the simpler use cases or reasons why your customers call. But let's say it's more complex, the chatbot can't handle it. So then it escalates to a human agent. And now you want to be able to understand what's going on in the contact center. Why are customers calling? What are the main use cases? Are there issues with my product? Are there issues with my service? How are my agents performing? So all that intelligence you can get by using a combination of services like Amazon Transcribe and Amazon Comprehend. And then I'll talk about it later, where we've made it even more easier for you to use these services to build contact center analytics solutions that give your contact center supervisors a much better understanding of what's going on in the contact center. And of course, Amazon Kendra can be used for Agent Assist, where as the agents are on the phone, they can quickly look up the information they need to serve your customers. And we have many success stories in this space. So for example, the CDC, you all know it. It's the Health Production Agency in the United States. And they were looking to quickly stand up a contact center for health and safety. And they worked with one of their partners who chose an AWS partner, Success KPIs, to build their contact center analytics solution. And they were able to quickly stand up a contact center supporting more than 21,000 agents within 8 weeks. And they were able to get a 360-degree view of exactly what's going on in the contact center, and even understand things like vaccine hesitancy and so on using the solution that was provided by our partner. Another important point I want to stress on is that partners are really important to us as a service team, because we're able to scale the services that we build with the help of our partners. So we do everything we can to make your lives easier. So this is a good example of something that we built to make the lives of our partners easier. We got a lot of feedback that, hey, you got transcribe, you got comprehend, they're priced differently, and we have to put all these things together in order to build solutions. Can you give us something that's simpler to use so that we can focus more on the analytics part rather than putting all these different APIs together? So we launched the Transcribe Call Analytics API that combines transcribe and comprehend and adds a lot more innovative features that you can use readily to build call center analytics solutions. So some of the things that we do is give you, of course, a turn-by-turn transcript, PII redaction, because you have customer information that has been recorded in these calls, issue detection, where we tell you exactly what the issue is as the call is happening, sentiment score, is it positive, negative, and so on, call categorization. So if you want to put calls in different categories based on certain keywords or so on, you can set up those categories. And call characterization, so things like the non-talk time, the loudness of the voice, and so on, so that you can figure out what the feel was on the call, was the customer upset, and so on. And we hope that you guys find these APIs really useful and are able to innovate and build a lot of innovative solutions for your customers using this API. I'll hand it off to Paul to talk more about all the other initiatives that we have for our partners.
Thanks, Vikram. And just to reemphasize what Vikram just shared, for me, that's fantastic. I've sometimes heard that partners are an afterthought in the way we build products. And here we have an example of exactly the contrary, where you brought us feedback, it was taken to the service team, who created a higher abstraction to provide an API that was useful for our partners. And I wish we'll see more and more of these examples moving forward, because that's how we will win together. First point. Second point, you might think with this example of contact center intelligence, hey, I thought AWS had Amazon Connect. That's true, and Amazon Connect is all-in-one organic contact center product. It's a very successful product, growing very fast. You'll hear more about it this week. Now, it's fair to acknowledge that many of our customers have an existing contact center or might have chosen a competing product from Amazon Connect. And we still want to help these customers to add intelligence on top of their existing contact center. That's really the goal of this solution, and that's a great fit for a partner plus AWS play. Lastly, I talked about a critical mass of partners before for these applied AI solutions. That's an example of what we mean by a critical mass of partners. 29 partners coming from different spaces, the contact center players such as Genesys or Talkdesk, with whom you can integrate natively some of our AI ML services, or point solutions that all have their own differentiation on the left and consulting partner on the right. I take this opportunity to welcome two of our latest additions to CCI, UniMRCP, an open source platform that really makes it easy to connect virtually any contact center voice platform with our AI services. And Infosys that you all know, I guess. One comment I'll make here, let me go back on the, no, it doesn't go back, is what we've learned with this approach of focusing on top use cases and have this critical mass of partners is that it's a way for us to get attention from the market, to get more visible. What I've heard in the past is, hey, we love you guys at AWS, but sometimes it sounds like we do a lot of work to integrate one of your new products, and we're all super excited, and we do a blog together, or we do a webinar, and it's not really noticed in the market. The reason being that we have so many of them. And that's not what we've seen with this type of solutions, where having this focus gets us a lot of visibility for partners, for AWS. With this example, if you type AWS CCI, you'll find over like 30 unique pieces of press coverage. Not only press, but that also helps us get visibility with people who have the most influence in these different markets. So if you know Contact Center, still picking on this use case, Sheila Maggie-Smith and Dan Miller are some of the most listened voice in the industry. They praise the work around contact center intelligence. It matters. Vendor assessments are very important for partners, for AWS. And in last year, machine learning platform vendor assessment, IDC pointed out CCI is one of the examples of our solution-oriented approach, which was quite impactful. Or another influencer in that space, which is highly regarded, Zeus Kerravala, who basically commended Talkdesk for their strategy around AI by not only developing in-house their own IP, but to partnering with AWS so that they could innovate faster and really focus on their core differentiation on top of what AWS was providing. So great communication platforms for partners as well. And that's important because that's usually what our partners want. So that's a partner presentation. So I'm going to highlight some of the partner programs and benefits. What we found is that combination of top use cases and making the best use of the different mechanisms in the APN proved quite successful with partners who leaned in. Vikram talked about Success KPI, who I think had the first customer reference last year, were on stage at re:Invent. They published their offering on the marketplace. They joined the machine learning competency with a new category we created, Applied AI, to recognize this type of innovation. Joined ISV Accelerate and got a lot of success with co-marketing and co-selling their solution. Another similar example is Talkdesk, well known in the industry, was like a great AWS customer even before, but not even a partner. And they saw value in CCI and decided to join the APN at this occasion. And LinkedIn became like an advanced partner pretty quickly. They were invited to some speaking engagements. They also joined ISV Accelerate and had a lot of good success with co-selling and co-marketing recently. So once again, playing the devil advocate here, I sometimes hear from partners that there is a bit of program fatigue. Understood. But that's, I think, a good example showing that there is a lot of value by reusing the different pieces, bits and pieces, for a cohesive strategy and go to market together. So I'm not going to deep dive as much as we did on the first two solutions, but so that you know, another couple of great applied AI solutions that got good traction this year are one, intelligent document processing, IDP, which basically helps customers extract data from paper documents, handwritten documents, PDFs, and analyze that in the cloud. Very relevant in healthcare, for financial institution, insurance claim processing. I was invited by one of our partners on this slide, Slalom, a few weeks back at one of their AI events, talking about this use case with one of the top US airlines, who's implemented an intelligent document processing solution developed by Slalom to fast-track the documentation verification process for COVID at the airport. Vaccination, negative tests used to be manual, took on average 7 minutes, and now this airline is able, thanks to IDP, to allow people to upload their documents in their app and to streamline the process. Another example of successful applied AI solution this year is what we call media intelligence, which basically help companies, not only in media and entertainment. I would argue that today about any company becomes a media company when they advertise on TikTok, when they allow their user to upload video and photos. And so the goal of this solution is to use our vision and language services to process media content, video, image, audio, extract metadata, on top of which you can implement interesting use cases from search and discovery, compliance, localization, or even find new monetization avenues. I'll pick on a French example here. One of our partners, Synchronized, helped TF1, one of the leading TV channels in France, to semi-automate the process of creating thumbnails on the on-demand platform and summary of the different shows and movies. It used to be all manual. Now you can fast-track this process with this solution. So we talked about intelligent search, contact center intelligence, intelligent document processing, media intelligence. Today, we announced the latest of these applied AI solutions that we call AI for data analytics, ADA in short, that leverage some of our AutoML capabilities, such as SageMaker Autopilot or Amazon Forecast. The pain point here was that we heard from many of our customers that one of the barriers to AI/ML adoption is a shortage of data scientists. And so we wanted to find a way to help through our analytics partners, our customers, to leverage all of their good data people who understand the business, know how to manipulate data, but do not code. And so all along the process, the analytics workflow, from accessing data to analyzing and visualizing data to including some of these insights into workflow and business automation, how could you basically empower analysts, business experts who can use no-code interface for this end? Same logic here. We partnered with analytics companies. They add their own differentiation, and the end product that customer buys is the partner solution. So this is the list of partners. We announced this solution today together. 13 partners, some well-known here, well-known names here. And I won't go in details into each of the solutions. Snowflake is one of the partners here that's worked with Western Union that was highlighted in Doug's keynote earlier today. If you search for AWS ADA, you'll find the What's New announcement and the announcement blog, which details a few of these partner products, including Snowflake, where you can basically train a model with a SQL query, where you can, with a very nice no-code interface, have model train and inferences in platforms such as Domo, Qlik, or Anaplan, which I'm personally quite excited about. Here again, what we want to do is to empower our partners, as well as AWS sellers, to have business outcome-driven discussions with customers, and not having it only about the technology. In this case, that's addressing the shortage of data scientists, breaking silo between the data science department and the business, and really using the power of having foresight into your business to reduce costs, improve customer experience, drive more revenue by having churn prediction solutions, supply prediction, sales forecasts, or propensity to buy in the marketing department, for instance. That's, in my opinion, another great example of this win-win-win philosophy we talked about earlier today. So that's pretty much what we wanted to share with you today. In terms of next steps, what I would encourage you to think about, one, explore. There are a lot of ways to brainstorm, to ideate at AWS. I personally love to do it with partners. That's one of the best parts of my job. to sit down with you and to think about what could be the transformative use case for your company, for your customers. So please reach out, engage, especially if you're already doing some of this work around machine learning. We have the ML competency now with the applied AI category and a few ways to help you be successful. And finally, and I hope that's clear now in light of this presentation, everybody at AWS, from the service team, the sales team, obviously the partner organization, is convinced that we won't be successful in AI ML without you. So you have a seat to the table. Take it. Tell us what use case we are not investing enough on. Tell us if there are some of these horizontal use cases where you'd like to develop a very specific vertical version for the industry where you're playing. And in general, let us know if there are anything we can do to unblock you and to facilitate AI ML adoption from your customers. With that, thank you for your time today. Vikram and I will stay here, and maybe for those of you who have questions, please come closer and we'll engage a discussion directly with you. Thank you very much.
And don't forget to take the survey.
Please take the survey. If you enjoyed the talk, put it a 5. That's important for us. If you have feedback, positive, constructive, you can put it in the survey as well, or come and share that with us directly. We love feedback.